Jason, let's start with you. As we head into Game 6 tonight, like what's on front of mind? Like what's got to happen? What do you believe is going to happen? Who are you confident in? Who are you not confident in? And who's a guy last game we saw Max Strus be the big guy off the bench. Yeah. Who are you expecting it to be tonight?
I mean, I would stick with Max. That's always the guy. We talked about it before the home game, and you said who's a role player, and I picked Max then. I'm always going to go with Max because he's got the finals experience. He's a bulldog. He's not afraid of the moment. What do I expect to happen tonight? If the Cavs take care of the basketball, they're going to win the game. If they turn the ball over, if they allow the Pistons to get out and run, if they get crushed on the offensive glass, then Detroit can win.
Yeah.
But that's about their only path, I believe. That's about Detroit's only path to winning tonight.
Yeah.
Is turn the Cavs over, crash the offensive glass, create second, third, and fourth opportunities for themselves on the offensive end, which the Cavs have done a great job the last couple of games of limiting that. I can only think of a couple of examples where the Pistons got a second, a third, a fourth look at it. For the most part, I think the Cavs have done a much better job the last couple of games in this series, the last two in particular. They've done a much better job on the glass than they did early on in the series.
Chris?
Everything Jason said is right. I'm going to try to be different. My key for them tonight is they not only just the turnovers, they got to be able to shoot. This team is better and they're humming offensively when they're able to make threes. I think they struggled with that in games 1 and 2 in Detroit, and that's another reason, not the reason, but a big reason why they did lose those first 2 games. And to be different, because I think Max Strus right now is potentially the cog that makes all this go, just his attitude, his defensive intensity. When he's hot shooting the ball, they're at their best. I'm going to say Dennis Schroeder, I think, because the longer this series goes, if Donovan's maybe not at 100%, James is not at 100%, they need some minutes resting. Schroeder's become such a big part of this offense, being able to handle the ball and keep them in games, and he pushes the tempo, which I think Detroit struggles in transition defense. They're so good in the half court, but when Schroeder's able to get out on the floor off rebounds or loose balls and push the tempo, get to the basket, I think it really frustrates Detroit. So I'm going to say Dennis Schroeder is going to be my key for tonight's game.
I was going to say Dennis Schroeder also. I'm a big Dennis Schroeder fan. I like the way he's played in this series, and I do think he's going to make a big impact tonight. Jason, you're dead on with the turnovers. And I know it's simple to say, well, don't turn the ball over. But in this series in particular, the Pistons, if this is a half-court game, they have no chance. The Pistons can't win a half-court game against the Cavs. The Cavs just have way too many more shooting options. The Pistons in the half court, it's Cade or nothing for the most part. I know Danis Jenkins had a tremendous game in Game 6 or Game 5. What are the odds he's going to do that again? And it still wasn't enough. Cade Cunningham had 39, and it still wasn't enough. Now you want to say, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Their second best player,
Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren.
Couldn't think of his name. Tobias Harris. He'll probably be better than he was last game. He was poor. But even if he is, that'll just make up for what Jenkins did. Unless Cade Cunningham puts up a 50-burger, to me the Pistons have 2 ways to win. They got to turn the Cavs over 20 times plus, or Cade Cunningham has to have an all-time historic game. Otherwise, they're not going to win.
Getting Duncan Robinson back would help.
That's true, too.
I don't know if there's – I don't think there's been a ruling yet if he's going to
play. Yeah, what's the latest on Duncan Robinson?
We probably won't get that till pregame.
Yeah, game-time decision.
Yeah.
But
even still, he had to shoot lights out in the first 2 games for them to win.
That was the big loss in 5 to not have him out there. He's at least a floor spacer. He's a guy who can make open shots.
Right.
So if they don't have him again tonight, that's a really big loss for them on the road.
Yeah.
You stole my thunder. I was going to mention Duncan Robinson, too.
Sorry.
So, that's all right. I'll forgive you. And you wonder if he was out there in those moments where the Pistons were bleeding, when they needed a bucket late. He is a guy, when they run him back and forth around the arc, he's slippery. That was what the word that was used after 1 and 2, and I think it was Dean Wade or one of the defenders, why does he get open all the time? You guys know who he is, and he keeps getting open. They're like, he's just so slippery. He's running around the arc, and you're getting through the screens, and he's 5 feet ahead of you and able to get off a shot. So I think that's a big factor tonight for the Pistons.
I also think Donovan, for him, had a pretty bad game in Game 5.
Yeah.
Right? Not compared to a normal player, it wasn't
I mean,
terrible
he was
game.
0 for 7 from 3
Yeah.
until I think he made his first 3 late in the fourth or overtime or something like that.
It was overtime.
His
Think
only
about it.
3 came in overtime off the
Ja-
Evan Mobley pass.
James and Donovan were terrible from 3. Even James, who had a really good game overall, what did he shoot from 3 last game, Mike? It was not good.
I think it was 3 of 10.
Yeah, so I think Donovan and James went like 5 for 17 or something like that from 3. It was Mobley, Strus, and Merrill that, like, I think the 3 of them went like 70% from 3.
I mean, Max had, I think, 5 threes.
Max was 6 of 8.
6.
Mobley was what, 2 of 3 or 3 of 4, something like that.
Mobley was 2 of 3.
He had the big one late
And
in the
Merrill
fourth.
2 of 4.
Sam was 2 of 5, and
2 of
together
5.
Harden and Mitchell were 4 of 18.
Yeah. I mean, Harden and Mitchell were the bad shooters. The other guys did their job. You got to figure, especially Donovan, will shoot better tonight.
And I think that's an indicative of how far this team has come because
Yeah.
usually, I mean, last round against Toronto, those guys couldn't shoot. Cavs weren't winning.
Yeah.
Now the role players are starting to get into it. And Kenny said before the game, it's going to come down to on the road, your role players have to step up. Somebody
Right.
has to. And they had multiple guys do that.
Honestly, I mean, this is just an opinion. There's no way to know for sure. But as much as I've complained at times about James Harden in this postseason, and he's played some really bad games, I don't even – it's hard to say it because it might have been totally different, but I'm not sure they even get through the Raptors if they had Darius Garland instead of Harden.
I've been saying that for since the Raptors series.
Yeah.
I don't know that Darius Garland, with how the Raptors were harassing Don,
Yeah.
how they're harassing Harden, and really the way they play defense. You know, Harden turns the ball over, but Darius
Yeah.
also turned the ball over when you pressured him, and we
Yeah.
saw that. So I don't want to say the trade was a success yet. It's too early.
Sure.
But I think it's certainly looking that the Cavs made the right move.
You think they would have lost to the Raptors with Darius?
Um,
I'm kind of
impossible to
basing it
say.
on how the series went, which
would-
may be unfair.
But
But
Darius has stayed healthy through the series.
That's
a
the
good
other
point.
thing. He wouldn't
Yeah.
have been available.
I mean, James has been – he's had some awful moments.
yeah, awful.
Overall, he's been better defensively in this series.
Yeah.
Especially these last couple of games. He was terrible in 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And I think by taking the ball out of his hands a little bit more, not running everything through him,
Yeah.
has really helped him and the Cavs overall.
Yeah.
I didn't see what his usage rate was after Game 5, but I know it's down. It's been down the last 3 games compared to what it was in the first 2. And I just think it's helped this offense overall.
Mike, do you think the Cavs get past the Raptors if it was Darius instead of James?
Honest answer?
Yeah.
No. I've said it before.
Why would I
thought
want
he
you
was
to not give it up?
no, lie to us, please.
Yeah.
Mike.
I'll lie to you. But no, I said this even after Game 2. And
Yeah.
I was on the panel right after Game 2 when James played his worst game of the playoffs, and I said, it is fair to criticize James for how he's played in these first 2 games, but the
Yeah.
Cavs don't get to these 2 games if they didn't make that trade earlier. Toronto was a bad matchup for Darius in a number of ways. They just tried to get their size on mismatches defensively, and it would have put Darius in those disadvantageous
Would have been
spots
even worse, yeah.
time after time. B, Darius in his career struggled against long, lanky defenders. What did Toronto have a plethora of? The long, lanky defenders. And that series was really physical. And I know the Cavs have this soft label, but these first 2 rounds, Toronto and Detroit, are 2 teams that knew their only chance to beat Cleveland was to turn it into a bare-knuckle brawl, muck things up, turn it into a physical matchup where maybe they could impose their will on Cleveland because talent for talent, they can't match up. If it was Darius Garland, a guy who struggled to stay healthy throughout his career, a guy who even admitted when he got to L.A. was playing on 9 toes because his big toe still hasn't healed from last year's playoffs, I don't think they beat the Raptors if they don't make that trade for James Harden.
We won't be on tomorrow. So when this game is over, will Evan Mobley have played great, good, okay, bad, horrendous? What's your prediction?
If they win, I think he'll play great because we've said it for a couple of years now. This team will go as far as Evan Mobley takes them because he's kind of that X factor to get to that next level. And he's starting quietly because that's his demeanor. But, you look at the stat sheet and it's like, man, Evan really hasn't, made his presence known in this game. And then he's got 13 points, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 8 rebounds. It's like, oh, yeah, he's having a really good game. If he plays really well, I think the Cavs are winning. They win substantially, and we're on to New York. If he doesn't, Yeah, we're going back to Detroit.
What's your
on Sunday.
prediction? What are you saying?
I'm saying I think he's going to play well. I think
You going great or good?
I'm going to go great because I think he's.
I like that.
I think he's in a different headspace. Kenny said it. Just talking to him after games, he just seems like something's kind of ticked in him that he's playing a little more demonstratively.
Jason, what say you?
What's your definition of great and good?
I think you know it when you see it.
Yeah.
You got to factor in what level of player he is. He's not Donovan Mitchell or Harden, but he's in that next group, whatever.
I think he'll be good.
Okay.
He was great late in the fourth quarter of Game 5. I think he was good overall. I think he was great late.
Yeah.
And I would expect something like that again.
So a borderline great for you.
Yeah.
Mike.
I think he's going to play really well tonight. I do. I think they
That was
figured
not
out.
one of the options.
It's not an option. It's good or great,
really
Mike.
well. Good, great.
High level good, low level great. Yeah.
So you with Jason on the borderline.
I do want to ask you guys this though. There are a bunch of kind of unique storylines that we've been monitoring, but now we are fully.
Well,
into
let's just finish the point. This is one of the storylines.
And Mobley's in it. That's why I wanted to give you the.
Well, I didn't give you my opinion on it.
Oh, I thought you
And
started.
I think Mobley's going to play great. I think he's good. I love the way he's played. You're right. I think he was borderline good, great. Played great down the stretch. I love the way he's been filling the stat sheet. I've always complained, like when you guys talked about him being Defensive Player of the Year, I'm like, I don't see the impact often enough. And I feel like in these games, down the stretch of these games, I'm seeing it more.
Yeah.
He's been more active. Like he's getting steals, which he didn't always get. Like 5 blocks in a game.
And
how many guys do that besides Wemby?
It's not just the 5 blocks. It's the amount of times that the Pistons dribble in, see him, and dribble out. And there's no stat for that.
Yeah.
It's the way that he can disrupt a game by his presence on the floor, and there's no way to really quantify that.
Right.
But you know it when you see it, that
Right.
guys are hesitant to go up and
Yeah.
shoot, or they're hesitant to
Yeah.
attack him in the lane.
And the rest of the guys can be more aggressive defensively, knowing that he's behind them. And I think, at least to some degree, you could say he's contributed to their second most important player completely collapsing in this series.
Is a big reason for that.
Right?
Big
So I think he gets a lot of credit. We're used to, in the past, him being the one that kind of craters against good players. Instead, the opposite's happening here.
100%.
This is the best I have felt about Evan Mobley ever.
These
right
are some
now.
of the other storylines that
Yeah.
are worth keeping an eye on tonight. Obviously, Donovan's never made it past the conference semifinals.
Yep.
If the
Right.
Cavs win tonight, it'll be his first appearance in his 9-year career.
James
of
Harden's
reaching
never
the
made it
finals.
past the conference semifinals in the East.
That's true. We're going to get to see Game 6, Game 7, James Harden, see if that narrative continues. The last 2 games of the playoff series, where his numbers historically have kind of gone down. We have the Kenny versus JB matchup. The coach that they fired, the coach that replaced him. This is their first head-to-head matchup in the playoffs. Once you mentioned Mobley's ascension to becoming a legitimate playoff guy. And then whether or not the team can prove it has that killer instinct. We kind of talked about that a little earlier, but a win tonight would at least point them in the right direction of believing they may have cracked the mental code that's been prohibiting them from reaching the lengths we thought they could in previous postseasons.
Yeah, I definitely think the Donovan thing, because that's part of the killer instinct. He's the leader of the team, and he's got to be the killer.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine Donovan's house right now, wherever the hell he is. He probably cannot wait to get on the court. He wants this game bad. This guy wants to win so bad. It's great when your best player wants to win as bad as he does. And he's heard it a million times. He's heard it. He can't. One of the best players in the league, can't even get to a conference final. At least with Harden, he hasn't won a championship.
Right.
With Donovan, he's not even gotten to a conference final.
Yeah.
And he knows that even though the Knicks series will be tough, and that's to me, it's a total toss-up who wins it, they got a shot. No doubt to beat the Knicks and for him to get to his first final.
If they play well, they absolutely can beat the Knicks.
Yeah.
And I'll take it one step further. This game, think of where the Knicks were going into the final game against the Hawks. Hawks had beat them a couple times.
Yep.
There were a couple close games. There were a couple weird bounces here or there that made that series go a little longer. And then they absolutely obliterate them in the final game. And all of a sudden, they're the favorites to go to the finals.
Right. Now
They're
they
the
won
favorites
5 in a row.
They're great. This game can set you up for that next series.
That's
if you
true.
go out there and blow this Pistons team away, all of a sudden, you're thought of differently and everything's going your way. And now let's see what they have in New York. I'm interested, and it's going to be a little inside basketball, but JB and Kenny seem to have very different coaching styles with how they handle their players, how they handle this adversity. And I think we're going to see it now because they both have had their backs against the wall. Which style was more effective for this team? And it's different for every team. But JB's gone out there and, he's getting into his guys. He's been a little gruff. He's been a little hard-nosed.
Yeah.
Kenny's more of the sit-back, like, hey, you guys figure this out. Let's see where this goes. Like, player-led.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very interesting two different styles to see now backs against the wall. Which one wins out?
Yeah.
One thing you said about Donovan and never making it out of the second round, I felt last year like he was too far ahead of everybody else. And I wrote about this. We talked about this.
Yeah.
He was in a different era of his career where he had made all the money, he had had all the All-Star games, all the accolades. Only thing that was important to him was winning. And it just didn't feel to me like the rest of the roster had caught up to that.
Yeah.
Moving out Darius, bringing in James, plus the growth of Evan.
Schroeder also, right?
Schroeder also, I think, has narrowed that gap more to where it was evident last year. Yeah. Donovan was up here and everybody else was over here.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that gap has been narrowed now with some of the moves that they made and really just the growth of Evan.
I think it's a great point. It feels like the team's more serious in a way, right? Like, all right, we've played around, we've screwed up, we've been a little silly, we're nice guys. Let's get more serious now. And it felt like maybe that win in Detroit in Game 5 was kind of the culmination of that catch-up.
That team, last year's team does not win that game.
No chance. No chance.
It's probably an 18 or 20-point loss.
Right. It goes the other way.
Right.
They expand their lead
right.
and take care of business that way.